We've got an exciting show for you today. I'm glad you've tuned in. We're headed for Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. Scranton may be the Electric City, but it's got nothing on Meyersdale, where we'll catch up with another installment of the Sustainable Ranchers Tour. Live from Meyersdale, Pennsylvania, via Farm Journal broadcast, this is AgriTalk. This morning, we'll begin with a conversation with Andy Lyon from Trust in Beef. Then it's Mike and Amanda Butterfield from Maple Valley Cattle Company. Later, Ryan Dierking from EarthOptics. And directly following the news, Karen Bonert from Farm Journal's Milk. I'm behind the big green leafy microphone of AgriTalk this morning. It's me, your pal, Davis Michelson. Glad that you are here with us. Another installment of the Sustainable Ranchers Tour. This is fantastic, because we get to talk to some cattle producers from their own spot there. It's a terrific way to talk about what they're doing. And I know sustainability for some is a word, that's fine, but these folks are legit making efforts to do what they do a little bit better. And I'm anxious to find out exactly how they do that. 69 degrees and sunny here in Kansas City this morning. Looks like a beautiful day on tap here for us. We've got that cold front that's moving southward here. I think it's supposed to make it all the way down to the Gulf of America later on this week, if not already. Man, what a relief. We'll talk with Karen Bonert. Maybe you've seen the news. There was an incident over at a dairy in, I believe it was Colorado. I've got the notes on it a little further down here, but we'll talk with her. We'll find out what we know so far and what her thoughts might be on it. That's Karen Bonert from Farm Journal's Milk. Chip is out still for the remainder of the week. We'll have some guest hosts throughout the rest of this week. I'll be around, of course. I'm not going anywhere. You can't get rid of me that easily. And I'm thinking about maybe picking up some K-State gear, just for spite. I look good in purple anyway. Why not? We'll see what old Flory thinks of that when he gets back. Let's go ahead and get to the news, where the National Weather Service is looking for extreme heat to continue in the interior Northwest into midweek before finally waning. Hot temperatures, dry, gusty winds, isolated dry thunderstorms will bring critical fire weather. Heavy rain and thunderstorms are expected across portions of the Great Basin, the Rockies, and the central and southern plains. An atmospheric river will bring heavy rain and strong winds to southwest Alaska. When I looked at the 6 to 10-day forecast, and then out to the 8 to 14-day forecast from the National Weather Service just yesterday afternoon when we were last together, really the only spot that was looking for below normal precipitation was the little strip of Alaska that kind of sticks down into Canada. I think that's the Yukon territory. I'm not entirely sure. My geography might be just a little bit off there. But other than that, it looks like we might all get a little cooler weather and some okay chances for some rains to get these crops to the finish line. Crop Tour last week, of course, found some excellent yield potential. The numbers weren't quite as high as the numbers that came out earlier in August from other outfits. So we're going to have to see how she finishes up for us this year. December corn was down fractionally. November soybeans up a little more than 4 cents. December winter wheat futures steady to 3 cents lower. Hard red winter wheat hit a new contract low overnight. The U.S. dollar and crude futures mildly weaker just ahead of the open. And here at 10:10 Central Time, looks like corn futures under some light pressure there. The December contract down 2 cents at 4.10 1/4. We've been watching 4.11 as an important technical marker. Finishing the day below that level might be a bad sign, might be a sign that we've got to go back and retest some lows before we can move higher. The soy complex has meal higher and oil lower, and the soybeans seem to sort of like it, up about 1.50 to a penny even there. And down into the wheats, oh my gosh, looky there. The soft red winter wheat up 4 cents, 3 3/4. Looking further out, about 3 cents in the July. Hard red winter wheat up just fractionally. The May is up 1 cent and 1/2. Returning to the news, Buying interest in the cattle futures market Monday was tempered by the news of a U.S. citizen from Maryland who has contracted the New World Screwworm disease. Profit-taking from speculators was also featured following last week's contract and record highs, which were higher across the board in the fat and feeder cattle futures this morning. USDA yesterday said the condition of the 25 U.S. corn crop unchanged, 71% good to excellent. Soybean crop improved 1% to 69% good to excellent. USDA said the spring wheat crop is in 49% good to excellent condition, 33% fair, 18% poor to very poor condition on the spring wheat crop. Spring wheat 53% harvested as of Sunday. Winter wheat 98% harvested as of Sunday. Well, according to Bloomberg, China will reportedly send Vice Commerce Minister Li Qiangang to the U.S. to meet with U.S. officials and business leaders. That's a move that signals talks are progressing after President Trump extended a tariff truce. The trip is not part of a formal negotiations session, and Li is expected to meet with deputies of U.S. Trade Rep Jamieson Greer and Treasury Department officials. Beijing sending Li to the U.S. is seen as a bullish sign for a deal which could unlock a summit between Presidents Trump and Xi Jinping. Now, I mentioned this right off the top of the program this morning here, but 6 people in northeast Colorado died last week after what's being described by officials as a dairy accident at Prospect Valley Dairy. One of the deceased was a student in the Weld School District. 3 other people taken to a local hospital and released. Let's get more from Karen Bonert from Farm Journal's Milk. Good morning, Karen. A sad story here, but I really feel like it's one we need to talk about. Can you fill us in on what we know so far on this tragedy?
Yes, certainly. Good morning, Davis. I mean, we're all in mourning, the dairy industry. It's a fluke accident. These 6 individuals, like you said, one was a high school student. And what we know, it was at Prospect Valley Dairy, about 40 miles north of Denver. Of course, we got to wait for the toxicology report to come back to know exactly what that cause of death is. But it's believed to be some type of potent gas. We know that one employee collapsed as he went into a small confined space. And of course, a desperate attempt to rescue him. 5 others came in at, we don't know if it was the same time or different times, but they didn't know the situation that they were going into. So of course, there'll be a lot of lessons to learn from this. It was a fluke accident. And we know that 2 of the employees, one was the manager, one was the assistant manager for Prospect Valley Dairy. 2 others worked for High Plains Robotics, which is a dairy service company that would come out frequently to service dairies like them. And then 2 of the sons of one of those employees also came. So it's just devastating because one family lost their husband and 2 of their sons. And there's no foul play. Like I said, there's GoFundMe links over on dairyherd.com to help anybody that wants to help these families during this difficult time. What I also know, Davis, is that we're told by a close source that these 6 guys, they were dedicated, they are hardworking, they love their families in the dairy industry, and they were very dependable and knowledgeable. So that's what we're clinging to today.
Dairyherd.com is the place to get that GoFundMe link, Karen?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, dairyherd.com.
Karen Bonert from Farm Journal's Milk. Thanks, Karen, for bringing us that sad story, but one that we need to talk about. On a lighter note, we're going to join the Sustainable Ranchers Tour on the other side of this break here with Andy Lyon from Trust in Beef, Mike and Amanda Butterfield from Maple Valley Cattle Company coming up a little bit later on as well. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. It's AgriTalk.
When opportunity knocks, you've got to open the door and seize it. Research funded by the Checkoff on the health benefits of full-fat dairy has helped whole milk grow to 47% of fluid milk sales in the U.S., according to consumer data from Circana. The steady gains over the past decade and even more growth in 2024 speak volumes about renewed consumer trust in and preference for whole milk. See why that matters at dairycheckoff.com.
You okay?
Better than okay. The cows are loving Pioneer brand tonnage corn silage. With local selection and agronomics, plus service and support, the tonnage we got was amazing. And that feed quality really has an edge over the competition. I tell you, planting Pioneer brand tonnage corn silage is the best choice I ever made.
You sure about that?
Well, next to choosing you, of course.
Nice save.
Learn more at pioneer.com/tonnage.
At Hexagon, we are experts behind the world's most precise machines, from race cars and jets to tractors, sprayers, and combines. In the field, our technology provides farm equipment with sub-inch precision. Pass after pass, field after field, year after year. Anywhere you farm, anytime you need. We are guiding your equipment and maximizing your potential. Keep up with the agriculture evolution by trusting Hexagon in your fields. This is how Hexagon is empowering agriculture. See how at hexagon.com.
Looking to amplify your soybean yield potential? Let's talk about soybean blends. Not every seed company offers them, but there's a reason they're Champion Seed's best-selling products at every maturity. With a blend, the traits from both varieties help maintain your yield potential and protect you from the floor. And these blends consistently yield higher than the individual varieties combined to make them. See what they can do for your yields at plantchampion.com.
My mom is a veteran and she was injured in the line of duty.
I hurt my leg in a training accident when she was only 2 years old.
She had 7 different surgeries over the span of 9 years, and there were tons of complications.
I'm doing much better now. I may have lost my leg, but I've gained so much. I got my joy back.
We got our mom back, thanks to DAV.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans like Sandy get the health and disability benefits they've earned.
My victory is getting my life back.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
I'm Tyne Morgan, host of U.S. Farm Report, and more than a host, I'm a journalist, a wife, and a mom of 2, raising a family in the heart of rural America. I understand the issues facing agriculture today because I live it every day. I see firsthand how farming and ranching isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Covering America's most important industry is what we do, and it's why U.S. Farm Report has been on the air for nearly 50 years. I invite you to join us every weekend for U.S. Farm Report, a timely, trusted tradition.
AgriTalk is brought to you by Champion Seed. Every field deserves its champion. Find yours at plantchampion.com. Welcome back to AgriTalk, everyone. Davis Michelson here for you. Glad that you've tuned in this morning on your favorite ag radio station or your preferred digital device. Chip is in Ireland. I can only assume that he is applying for astronaut status in the Irish space program, which, as we mentioned earlier, is significant, a significant contributor to the European Space Agency. In the meantime, you and I will talk about the Sustainable Ranchers Tour. Kicks off tomorrow in Meyersdale, Pennsylvania, hosted by Trust in Beef and America's Conservation Ag Movement. That's ACAM. Still time to join if you're going to be in the area. You can visit trustinbeef.com. That's trustinbeef.com for information. Special thanks to Maple Valley Cattle Company, Mike and Amanda Butterfield, for opening up the farm gate, sharing their story with us and attendees. I'm excited to get to them because they're on some unconventional ground raising cattle out there in Pennsylvania. But first, let me bring in Andy Lyon from Trust in Beef. Good morning, Andy. How's it going, buddy?
Davis, doing well. I'm not ready for summer to be over, but sure enjoying this cool morning here in Southwest Pennsylvania.
I'm with you. Myersville, Pennsylvania, you said southwest. Can you orient us a little bit within the state there? Where's Myersville?
Yeah, so Meyersdale is actually here in Southwest Pennsylvania. We're about an hour southeast of Pittsburgh, just a little over an hour. Beautiful country. We're right into the edge of the Appalachians here. You hit the nail on the head. Not maybe what everybody's going to think of when you think of the conventional beef production areas of our country. But one of the things we really like to do with Trust in Beef is to tell that story of the American rancher, right, all across America. And, it looks a lot different. The last time we were on with AgriTalk, we were out in southeast Arizona. And now today we're coming to you from Pennsylvania, right? What these ranches look like differs, obviously, with the different parts of the country that we're in. But again, we're on some great ranches. And actually, when you break it down, the practices might be different, but a lot of the principles that are being applied are the same all across the country. And so it's just great to get out, meet some of these great ranchers, and be able to help tell that story about the American beef industry.
From my seat, one of the great things that characterizes the American rancher, the American farmer, is adaptability. When you're talking about ranching and farming in those different environments, practices just a little bit different here and there, that really makes for interesting conversation, certainly. But this is your second year with the Trust and Beef Sustainable Ranchers Tour. You mentioned Arizona. Where else have you been? Kind of draw one of those maps with a little red line on it. Talk to us about where you've been so far.
Yeah, we are trying to get around the country. So last year, we really came up straight through the middle of the country, started in Texas, ended up in North Dakota, made 4 stops in between. And so, again, really hit some of those states that have a lot of cattle in them. This year we wanted to expand that geography a little bit, hit some different places on the map. Again, we've been in Minnesota earlier this year, along with Arizona. We're here in Pennsylvania today. We'll be in Georgia here in a month, and then we'll finish this year up being in South Texas there in early November. So again, trying to show what that beef production is like all across the country.
Yeah, can you talk about maybe some of the subtle differences that we might miss from our view? I mean, you talk about visiting a ranch in Texas and then visiting a ranch in North Dakota. There are bound to be some differences. Are there some of those that really stick out to you that you can highlight for us?
Actually, Davis, I think there's more commonality between a lot of these ranches than there are differences. And, you touched on the top of the show about, the word sustainability and how, producers across the country kind of feel about that word. And, from our standpoint here at Trust in Beef, we believe that, the top line of sustainability has to be profitability, right? There is no way to be sustainable on the landscape if we're not making a profit in our operations. And so, as we go around, yes, the practices will differ a little bit as we look around the country. But the principles of what people are trying to do to remain profitable really are that common connecting factor all across America. And so, we're going to, again, here tomorrow, we're going to talk a lot about water source development. We're going to talk about rotational grazing. We're going to talk about how to use emerging technology for our benefit to make our operations more efficient. We're going to talk a lot about those market opportunities that are out there. And so, again, these are the types of things that we can talk about really at every event. Now, it's going to look a little different in these different geographies. But again, I think that message of sustainability has to equal profitability for producers is one that we need to keep driving forward throughout the industry.
Andy, on the grain side, we know the incredible investment it takes to get an operation up off the ground for a first-gen farmer. The Butterfield's Maple Valley Cattle Company. I have here in my note first-gen ranchers, first-gen farmers here. Can you talk about some of the struggles maybe that first-gen ranchers, from your experience, might face and how they might overcome some of those challenges?
Yeah, and Mike and Amanda have a great story, and I can't wait for them to join the next segment and really dive into that story. I think as we see young ranchers across the country, it really is a story about balance, right? It's trying to take the tradition of the ranching industry and marry that together with some of the new technology that's available, trying to think of some of those unique marketing opportunities that are out there, and really try and develop a system where they can find some profitability. It's hard. I think we know across agriculture, right? Those initial startup costs are tremendous. And so, nobody's going to just be able to go out there and buy a beautiful turnkey ranch and be cowboy in the way that we used to. So we're going to have to kind of piece it together. And I think that's one of the reasons why these types of events that we host are really important. It's about not, you don't come to an event to learn all about ranching. What we hope is that people can come and learn one or two things, ideas that they can take back to their own operations. And even if it doesn't look exactly the same, they can adapt these ideas to their operations. And again, try to find that balance that's necessary for them to develop some profitability so that they have that opportunity to grow those operations over time.
When you talk about cowboying and raising beef, I know that you spend a fair amount of time in the saddle. The grains left the horses behind a long time ago, fully mechanized by this point, but the current modern beef setup kind of has room for time in the saddle, time in the side-by-side. And then when you talk about marketing and profitability, this modern world really has a lot to offer for the beef rancher. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it sure does. And, again, I think an event here in Pennsylvania really puts an exclamation point on that, right? You're not going to see a lot of the traditional ranching sector here in Pennsylvania, but there's a lot of great beef production happening. And again, it's a great story. They're actually grazing some reclaimed strip mines here in Pennsylvania, right? And so there's ways that we can find opportunity out there, open areas to graze, to make sure that we can raise these cattle right. And so again, we got to find those niches where they're available, and take advantage of those opportunities.
Hmm. Well, let's talk a little bit more. You mentioned the strip mining operation that they have sort of reclaimed for cattle ranching. Talk to us about the Butterfields a little bit. What makes them so special? What makes you want to highlight what they're doing there?
Yeah, so they do a lot of things right on the landscape, right, with their practices. So again, we're going to go out tomorrow morning. They'll actually move some cattle through their rotational grazing system. While our attendees are standing right there, they've got a unique watering system where they're able to distribute water sources all across their operations so that they can get pretty tight on those rotations, right? So they can make a lot of cattle on a small area, and that really impacts that land heavily, right? It's a high intensity, short duration event. And by doing that, right, and then getting off of that land and letting that land rest over time, you see amazing recovery of those grasses. And that's really a key tenet of regenerative ranching. They also, again, are doing a lot of things right with how they're marketing that herd, right? They are doing a lot of great things to make sure that the folks in this part of the state know who they are and that they are really leaders in the industry. um, and again, at the end of the day, it's we highlight some of the practices, but it's really about the people they are, right? Great people, great ambassadors for the beef industry, and really folks that are willing to stand up and help spread the message about why it's so important that we continue to talk about these types of practices across the industry so that we, again, present the best possible face for the industry to the consumer.
I love that. What's next for the tour? I feel like you mentioned Georgia. Is Georgia your next stop?
Yes, sir. We'll be down in Georgia here into September, and then down in Texas in early November. Again, we're looking for some great events there as well. Again, it's a real privilege for us to be able to go around the country, meet some of these great ranchers, see their operations, learn about what they're doing, but more importantly, to get to know them as people and learn what they're all about.
TrustinBeef.com, the best place to get more, Andy?
Absolutely. Please check it out.
TrustinBeef.com. That was Andy Lyon. Thanks, buddy, for talking with us. Andy Lyon from Trust in Beef. We're going to check the markets with Lane Acree, and then we'll be back with Mike and Amanda Butterfield on AgriTalk.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose AmeriCorps.
Hear that? Those are Pioneer brand soybean and corn fields, the #1 seed brand in the U.S., ready to harvest. The combine reaps and separates row after row of innovative genetics. Soybeans fall into bins and bounce off the tin with unbeatable yields. Pioneer corn and soybean seed is the #1 brand in the U.S. This is what it sounds like to plant #1. Learn more at pioneer.com/topcrop.
Time for Markets Now with the experts from Pro Farmer.
Joining us now, Lane Acree from Pro Farmer. Lane, it does seem like the soybeans, well, they did kind of like what was going on, faded just a little bit, mixed action in the complex. Wheat is kind of leading gains right now. Look across the grains there. What do you make of it, pal?
Yeah, we got corn down a few cents. Not too surprising to see some consolidation. Tuesdays have historically been weak. Was kind of sad to see corn turn around yesterday. We were talking about it being up most of the session, especially early, and closed about unchanged and a little bit additional profit taking today. Meal today is up a few points, about $3 right now. and just not much coming to fruition from that Chinese delegate coming to the U.S. for trade talks. I think that kind of hyped markets up a little bit this morning, but since I've turned lower and soy oil is under heavy pressure, so beans just kind of caught in the middle between that meal strength and oil weakness. Meanwhile, SRW wheat's up about a nickel. Wheat has been the laggard here for the most part, so it's good to see a little bit of strength in that wheat complex.
The cattle complex really seems to like the program today. We're with the Sustainable Ranchers Tour, and we are higher. Cattle can't stop, won't stop, baby.
Yep, cattle trading higher today. We got fats up about $1.50. Feeders up around $2. Yesterday, the New World screwworm news kind of hit the markets a bit, but back on the gas for cattle bulls.
Now, we've seen cattle kind of give us a little head fake in the morning, and then we hit about this time, and you and I figure, we got this figured out, and then it reverses course. I think we're probably headed higher. Fair statement?
I think so, too. And, that held true again yesterday. We were pretty sharply lower yesterday, and we saw a lot of profit taking towards the latter half of the session.
And we've got lean hog futures higher on the day. Thanks, Lane Acree from Pro Farmer AgriTalk.
When the game is on the line, championship teams know the game plan. They communicate and work together to win. We all need a game plan to protect ourselves online. Talk to family and friends so they know how to stay safe too. Create strong passwords, turn on multi-factor authentication, update software, and recognize and report phishing, because online safety is not something you want to fumble. Get more game-winning tips at CISA.gov/secure-our-world. Then share them with family and friends.
Wake up, get ready, grab breakfast, go to work, grab lunch, come home, run to practice, run to the store, grab dinner, go to bed, and repeat. Food fuels your day, and we fuel the people producing it with the latest news, information, and perspectives from across the globe. Ag Day is a place to learn about the business of food and farming. Join us and our team of experts as we cover the stories that keep the world moving. That's weekdays for Ag Day, the country experience.
Opinions expressed on AgriTalk do not necessarily reflect the views of Farm Journal Broadcasting, affiliate stations, or sponsors. You're listening to AgriTalk, where the conversation begins. Join us at 855-4-TALK-AG.
Welcome back to AgriTalk, everybody. Very pleased to bring our next guests to you all the way from Meyersdale, Pennsylvania, Maple Valley Cattle Company, Mike and Amanda Butterfield. Welcome to AgriTalk. Thanks for being part of the Sustainable Ranchers Tour. We appreciate you being here. How's everything going this morning?
Okay. Wonderful. Woke up and it was 50 degrees out. So in August, you couldn't ask for a better day.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I could absolutely get used to it. I'm over here in KC, and it has been hot. I don't know how Pennsylvania weather's been treating you this summer, but man, I'm ready for a little cool down. Now, you folks are first generation ranchers. I'm going to lay this out here. First gen ranchers who took over previously strip mined land for coal production and put it back into grass production. First gen ranchers, I got to ask you, are you crazy? Whose idea was this? Was this a dream that you had? How did you decide one day, you know what? Let's make some cows. How do you get there?
Mike, do you want to start off about your backgrounds and how we bled into this?
Well, I mean, we're first generation. I'm actually probably third generation farmer. I grew up farm, row crop, cattle, pigs, but we've done all this basically on our own. So pretty much back to first generation, and Amanda had basically no farm background. As far as the strip mine goes, in the area we were looking for land, 90% of it had been strip mined at some point. So we didn't really seek it out. It's just what was available. So we've taken that and tried to improve it. It was on row crop previously, and it's a lot more suitable for grass production.
Amanda, Amanda, go ahead.
Yeah, so I grew up with my career path just liking animals, and went to Penn State and fell in love with agriculture. And that's where I met Mike. My first job was as a dairy field rep for Dairy Farmers of America in the state of Indiana. I met him. He was a herdsman on a large dairy. And we decided we wanted to start milking cows, and the best place to start milking cows for us, because I had family here in Western Pennsylvania, was located right here in Laurel Highlands in Somerset County, Pennsylvania. So there was still a very strong dairy connection there of support for different industries to help support with the dairy industry. So after quite a few years milking cows on our own, trying to raise a family, working a full-time job, because over 90% of farmers do need off-farm income to survive and to make this dream come true. We converted to cow-calf operation. Always had a small cow-calf operation. And when you're looking for land and opportunity, whether you're 18 years old or 80 years old, it's what's available at the time and price. And so where we're at, there's not, I wouldn't say, very good grounds. Most of our ground has been coal mined or just not very good grounds. So this farm came available, and it's really hard to find any ground here in Western Pennsylvania that has not been strip mined. And for anyone who's not knowing what strip mining is basically they remove the whole hillside, take the coal out, and they put it back. And it's not put back the same way it came and started with. So it's usually the worst ground, lots of rock and everything else. And that is absolutely perfect for livestock, whether they're sheep, whether they're cattle, dare to say goats. But that makes the best kind of grazing systems of what we did. So this farm here was strip ground about in 1970s, 1980s. There was some agriculture on it, row crops, not well maintained in terms of cover crops or anything else. So we are set on rebuilding a lot of the landscape here.
Okay, so I was imagining when I saw previously strip mined for coal that you arrived at sort of a desolate, landscape kind of a thing. So it was already trying to reestablish itself and had been used before. So what was the trick to make it usable for what you wanted to do?
Well, it was currently being farmed when we arrived, but just in row crops. So we seeded the whole farm down in forages and had to establish the perimeter fence and water. I mean, everything. There's only about 20 acres that was fenced out of 180. So we had to put about 8,000 feet of water line in, like 20 hydrants, all perimeter fencing, interior fencing. We had to pretty much do everything. So
that's quite an investment straight off the top there. You guys must have felt really passionate that this is what you wanted to do. Where did that passion come from?
Well, after having cows in a barn all day, working with unloaders and barn cleaners and on your hands and knees, it was nice to be out in the field. And building fence is fun. That's not a problem. We like being out in the grass. So our goal was to have the cows out in the field majority of the time, the growing season. So that was our goal.
Yeah, get a little sunshine on your face throughout the day. That's a good thing. So give us some more specifics about what the operation looks like today, Maple Valley Cattle Company, and just sort of where you've arrived thus far.
So I wanted to circle back though about some of that strip ground. The farm that we're on wasn't well taken care of. So I would say even some of the current redone strip mines that they're now closing up and people are reclaiming them doesn't look too much different. They're all depleted. And it's very interesting because our neighbor who strip mined is just fence line to fence line. Their land has been in CRP for 20, 30, 40 years. And there's literally a foot difference between the fields
topsoil
because they've been rebuilding topsoil to where our farm is. So that fence line, you could literally take a picture of it, and you can clearly see it how much our farm has been depleted by not even doing any other conservation efforts and just tillage and most of that was going to corn silage too. So they were taking whole stalks off, and it wasn't even leaving any debris back or anything else for that. So there's not just us, but a lot of farms here. And it's just because Pennsylvania is a very, very unique state. So we have the best dirt in the world in Lancaster County, which is a 3-hour drive just due east of here. And that farm ground over there is selling for $50,000 to $200,000 an acre. And so we're having a lot of other people wanting to move out of there because of multi-generational growth into this area. And so we're all very eager to turn us into a better agrarian market and kind of change some of the practices, because no one wanted to farm out here before because everything was depleted because of everything. Right. So I just wanted to circle back about the importance of what we're doing with this ground and the water systems and stuff like that. Not just us, but all of our neighbors here that do the same thing. So I do apologize, what your other question was when I went.
No.
The current farm.
Go ahead.
We're running try to keep about 90 mama cows. I have a spring group and a fall calving group. We have about 120 acres of pasture on our home farm. We're running about another 75 locals, about 200 acres of pasture, about another 165 acres of hay. And we're cow calf, and we wean everything, and we sell everything about 500 to 600 pounds. So we don't feed anything out. So we're just basically maintain them on the cows year round is our goal.
And
so when we talk about, go ahead.
I was going to say about the investment here. When we purchased our farm 7 years ago, we purchased it, and right now, if we were to sell the same farm, it would be almost double the amount of what we paid for it. And that's simply because of a lot of people from the Lancaster region moving out. And to your point too about the infrastructure, I think that infrastructure cost is about $180,000 for pipelines, fencing.
Substantially.
And we could have not have done it without the investment of NRCS and the EQIP program. And that's what's very important here is the public-private partnerships going on to keep farmers going. And Mike and I were a little older. We were in our late 30s when we purchased this farm. We had good jobs. We had some money. So I can't imagine being 25 years old and starting off without parental or winning the lottery or something like that kind of money. At that point, why in the heck would you want to do this? But that is something very important to talk about as younger generations are coming into this, is that it's literally impossible to even start. And that's not even including equipment costs, cattle costs, everything else, just buying buckets and shovels for Pete's sake. I mean, that stuff adds up as well too. So just wanted to make sure that as anybody isn't coming into this, that to utilize any kind of lever that you have when you start farming.
Well, and when we're talking about sustainability, and you look over to your neighbor's field where they've had 20 years of CRP, 20 years of soil rebuilding, it's really interesting to me to think about you're trying to harvest a beef crop off of that land while at the same time trying to grow it. I feel like that goes beyond sustainability, that you're trying to encourage something that will grow. How do you manage that while still running cattle on it?
I mean, the goal is try to build organic matter. Like say when we graze tight, we're trying to have more manure concentration and more trampling. It's going to be a slow process. We know that it's only been 5 to 6 years. We're hoping this is, I mean, by the time we retire, hopefully things are better, but it's going to be a slow process. Try to minimize erosion, just get more dense cover crop.
And data, just maintaining data, soil sampling, forage sampling, and trying to utilize work smart, not hard, as some of the things that we're trying to utilize as well too. And making sure that we talk about these things to people and listen to ideas. And during all this too is that we're experiencing global climate change. And so we had a D3 drought last year, and we're still recovering from a D3 drought, even though we've had water this year. And some of the pressures and mechanisms and things that even other people have not experienced before, how do you still maintain a business with some of these other factors that are growing and coming at us that we're unaware of and how to rebound from?
Absolutely. I'm loving all of this, but you've got some other, I don't know if we call them side projects, beefing up for backpacks. I understand that there's some produce grown there. Evelyn's involved there. Say hello to Evelyn for us. She couldn't be with us today, apparently, but you're bringing the next generation up behind you, aren't you, real quickly?
Yes. So Beefing Up Backpacks is housed underneath a Pennsylvania foundation, or Beef Foundation. And so mirroring off the great program in Colorado, Beef Sticks for Backpacks, we are basically, me as a volunteer beef producer working with Nicole Hockenberry as executive director, to provide a free beef stick into the weekend backpack programs of children who are in need. And 1 in 6 children in this country need this, and particularly in rural areas more than even urban. And so only 2% of food bank food is animal protein, so we need to get more contributions.
Mike and Amanda Butterfield, Maple Valley Cattle Company, we got to cut you loose there. Thank you so much for being on AgriTalk.
The Scoop Podcast is where we talk about tight supply chains, emerging agronomic challenges, technology tools delivering ROI. I'm Margie Eckelkamp, editor of The Scoop and host of The Scoop Podcast. Join me as I interview leaders from across the ag retail sector. Farmers are working hard for every bushel, and their trusted advisors are by their side. Find The Scoop Podcast wherever you find podcasts, so you are up to date on everything ag retail.
Stream your favorite Farm Journal programs, podcasts, and personalities with the new Farm Journal TV app. You'll enjoy on-demand access to the agriculture information you need from the sources you trust. It's all at your fingertips and on your schedule, anytime, anywhere. The Farm Journal TV streaming app gives you all the must-see Farm Journal shows, all the podcasts from our expanding network, along with exclusive and early view content. You can stream on your phone or smart TV, and you can download programs and watch offline. Go to farmjournaltv.com now to get the special half-off introductory offer, which gives you unlimited access to all this content with a free 14-day trial subscription and the special price of $49 for a full year. Use code BIGDEAL to get this special rate. Don't miss a minute. Subscribe today at farmjournaltv.com.
When the game is on the line, championship teams know the game plan. They communicate and work together to win. We all need a game plan to protect ourselves online. Talk to family and friends so they know how to stay safe too. Create strong passwords, turn on multi-factor authentication, update software, and recognize and report phishing, because online safety is not something you want to fumble. Get more game-winning tips at cisa.gov/secure-our-world. Then share them with family and friends.
Joining us now is Matt Essick, Agronomy Information Leader at Corteva. Matt, it is always good to talk to you about the world of corn. Tell me about the growth in corn innovation in the past decade.
Innovation in corn's been around since the start, right? So we went from Teosinte into the modern day corn, and I'd just say the last decade, those accelerated that. Last year, we had over 3,300 bushel yield checks across the United States, and that just is a testament to the innovation that's taken place in the breeding. Whether that's just being able to look at more products at a faster rate or bringing in some of those traits, it's just amazing what's being done.
It certainly is. What are the biggest agronomic challenges, and how do your corn products help improve farmer successes?
I think the agronomic challenge is just every year with the weather. We can get excess rain to too dry. So we've got hybrids that are extremely well adapted for those different conditions. That's the first way that we help out. And then the second way would probably be on that weed control side, having hybrids with the next generation herbicide tolerances, such as the Enlist trait. So we can apply glyphosate, glufosinate, Enlist, and other common herbicides to manage tough weeds. And then we partner that with some of the best insect management traits in the marketplace. And that just protects us from field pests like western corn rootworms.
All right. So talk to me about performance. How does your corn compare to the competition?
So looking back at 2024, so that's our most recent yield data, all that work and innovation has just led to a 7.8 bushel yield advantage in 16,000 comparisons last year with Vorseed and List hybrids, and then a 73% win rate with our top 40 hybrids across the U.S. And again, that was from 2024, so we're hoping for more exciting things here in 2025.
Excellent. Where can listeners go for more information, Matt?
Best place is always Pioneer.com or find your local Pioneer sales rep.
Thank you, Matt. That is Matt Essick, Agronomy Information Lead at Corteva.
There's a lot of buzz lately in the carbon space and real money on the table. The Bayer Carbon Program rewards farmers for practices like cover crops and no-till that support soil health and sustainability. Right now, you can earn even more with limited-time summer bonuses up to $20 per acre in select states. If you farm corn, soybeans, wheat, or more, this could be your year to get involved. Visit BayerForGround.com to check your eligibility today.
At a certain point, you can't do the same thing and expect different results. So here's some advice. Change the seed and you'll change the game. Zetavo soybean seed is the seed you've always wanted. It's been tested again and again, going through at least 12 quality control protocols because 11 wasn't enough, all to ensure that you get consistent quality performance from every seed. Performance that can pay off with better soybean yield. Learn more at xitavosoybeanseed.com. Always read and follow label directions.
AgriTalk is brought to you by FBN Finance, helping family farms through tough times with land loan rates as low as 5.42% for well-qualified borrowers. Rates subject to credit approval and may vary. Visit fbn.com/agritalk. This is perfect. This is a band called Pilot. My next guest, Ryan Dierking. Welcome back to AgriTalk. We got to get to it here. Director of Northern Rangeland for EarthOptics, Ryan Dierking. welcome to AgriTalk, buddy. How's it going this morning?
All good. It's a great day here in Pennsylvania. I'm glad to be on the show.
Terrific. We're glad to have you because EarthOptics, just on the surface, bro, that sounds cosmic. What do you guys do?
Yeah, well, thanks for that great question. So we kind of think of ourselves as measuring everything soil. We have different aspects of the soil that we measure. So we're looking at both the chemistry or the nutrient aspect of the soil. We're looking at both the physical, which would be analyzed as compaction, and we're also looking at the biological aspects of the soil. So we kind of look at those three components. And when we also think about carbon markets, where we have a measurement directly related to the soil carbon component. So all of those aspects together sort of encompass the entire soil sphere, so to speak. And that's really the offer that we bring to both ranchers and growers across the U.S. is a whole analytical platform to measure their soil profile.
Talk about the physical, the soil sphere. I like that a lot. Talk about just physically, technologically, how do you gather that data?
Yeah, so it's a great question too. We go about collecting it in a couple different ways depending on what we're measuring. So as far as the nutrient component is considered, we have an EMI sensor, and that EMI sensor is basically scanning the ground. So it's sending electromagnetic pulses into the soil, and we're capturing that reflection. And we utilize that signal to then identify what is the level of those different nutrients in the soil. And then as far as compaction is concerned, we can use that same sensor, but when we couple that with an ADCP, which is basically a very sophisticated penetrometer, it allows us to look at how that soil compaction changes over the depth of the soil up to about 20 inches in the soil layers. And then on the biological side, we're actually collecting soil samples, compositing those together, sending them off to our lab in California, and actually sequencing all the genetic sequences from that soil profile, and then analyzing that and comparing it to known libraries of organisms so that we can identify both beneficials and pathogens in that soil profile so growers can utilize that.
Yeah. Now, I can get overwhelmed by numbers, by data, and by things like that pretty easily. I don't know if everybody else is in the same boat there, but that sounds like a ton of data coming down the pike for your customers. How do you help them get their hands around it?
So you're right. It is a ton of data that we collect, but the great thing is we can simplify and provide that back in a meaningful way. So essentially what we're doing is collecting that information through our sensors, through our genomics lab, and then we have an online dashboard. And that dashboard presents all of that information back to the grower or the agronomist looking at that information in a very readable and in a concise manner. So on that dashboard, we break it out into the nutrient components, we break it out into the compaction, the biologicals, both beneficial and the pathogens that are present in that soil, and also something related to carbon and diversity indexes as well. And so the grower, the agronomist can take that information, page through those different properties of their soil, and then utilize that information to either develop fertility maps for fertilization, building out efficiencies and how they want to apply phosphorus, potassium, lime, however it is for that particular field. They can use those compaction maps to develop a map where they can go out in their John Deere or Case system and actually do true tillage and identify where those compaction zones are and alleviate those. And then finally, on the biological side, we provide maps of where those pests and pathogens are in the soil, and the likelihood that those may be problematic during the growing season, and then provide recommendations on what types of what types of chemistries or pesticides or fungicides may be beneficial for the protection of that crop during the growing season. And so when you combine all that together, it's presented in a very readable, user-friendly format.
It sounds like an awful lot, but what I'm hearing is after you get to the bottom line, man, that can really encourage some efficiency on the farm.
Yeah, that's correct. So when we're looking at the fertilizer aspect of it, we basically are condensing down instead of your 2.5 or 5 acre grids, we're actually providing data on about 40 feet by 40 feet increments across the field. So you can get really precise in where those nutrient management zones are and cut down over application and really focus in on where the application is needed and not have over application so that, as we're all environmentally friendly here, we want to make sure that we're not polluting our waterways or leaching nitrogen into our aquifers. And so having better recommendations and precise application can not only help the environment but also help the grower's bottom line.
We're going to run out of time pretty quick here, but I want to get to this. EarthOptics is a member of Trust in Beef. You're on hand at the Sustainable Ranchers Tour. Why are events like that important to EarthOptics?
Yeah, there's a couple different reasons here. First is we value obviously the farmer and the grower, the backbone of our ag communities here, but also a lot of us come from farms, ranches that work at Earth Optics, and we see the value of this technology in the marketplace. And so, with that said, we really look forward to having an opportunity to work with growers and help their operation in any way that we can.
Where do we find out more about Earth Optics, Ryan?
Yeah, just head on over to our website, www.earthoptics.com, and you can find all of us, or you can give us a call and we'll help answer any questions you may have.
Outstanding. Ryan Dierking, Director of Northern Rangeland for EarthOptics. Thanks for bringing this to us, brother. It sounds like a great thing. It's good to talk to you. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for letting me be a part of the show today.
For sure. Mike and Amanda Butterfield, Maple Valley Cattle Company, thanks so much for opening up your ranch to the Sustainable Ranchers Tour this afternoon on AgriTalk. We've got Michelle Rook. She'll take the mic to chat with Brian Doherty from Total Farm Marketing by Stuart Peterson. Thanks for being with us. Davis Michelson signing off.